Well, hello, and welcome to the Cool Time Dice Hour Fireside Chat, which is
it's warm in here. Whew.
Yeah. So, we're having our little post-mortem, if you would, of our first spooky teen squad. I am co-creator Krissy, and with me, you can't be a co-creator without a co.
That's me. I'm the co.
You're the co. I'm the co. We're both the co.
Krissy and Kyle.
Yeah.
It's like we have our own morning show.
We do. It's the fireside postmortem chat. Welcome. We're so happy to have you. So spooky teen squad.
Yes.
I love it. It's sort of inspired by, akin to a Scooby-Doo-esque mystery.
Yeah. Yep.
What inspired it? What was it based on?
Well, I've always been a Scooby-Doo fan, and so when I had kids and I started showing them, I was amazed at how well it still held up. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of 60s of let's go to the soda fountain and disco all night, and that kind of stuff. But at heart, it's teaching mystery, like like a weird thing happens. You check the clues. You make the suspects. You reveal someone, and it also is great in terms of just the pure structure of it was always a person.
Yeah.
So that it's for someone a parent of a much more timid child, I can show her Scooby-Doo because it's going to be a person.
Right.
It is not a monster. It is not.
It's not. Yeah. Right. It's not the Swamp Thing.
You're exactly. It is very comforting in terms of that because it's not like you're not worried about monster under the bed. It literally is a guy in a mask. That it's on that level.
You can smart your way around the fear.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to worry about but any of the real the shows that are so fantastical that one of my daughters is she sort of gets sad for the villains sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like that. So Scooby-Doo was one of the things that we would watch because it was very comforting in terms of this funny group of people and a talking dog, and then everything's okay in the end. So it was I've always been a fan, but then I sort of appreciate it at another level. And so it always been sort of buzzing around my head. And then when we were talking about setting this up, I thought that's a perfect thing to get into because everyone knows that structure.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain heavily what it is in the same way that you with Murder, She Wrote and stuff too, of the older mystery solve. People know what that is. With Dungeons and Dragons, if you're not in the circle, if you're not a nerd who brought this stuff, it's a much bigger ask.
Oh, there's so many things to know about Dungeons and Dragons. Right. It can be intimidating. Yeah.
Any fantasy thing that you do, you sort of have to then, how does magic work? Are there elves? All these things. Are the
elves nice or are the elves mean?
Are there dragons? Are the dragons nice? Are the dragons mean? You have to answer all these things. But if you say it's teenagers and they have a talking animal and they solve mysteries, got it.
I'm
and they're
with
ready
you.
to go.
One of them's going to be sort of dumb.
Right.
One of them's going to be really smart.
Yeah, see?
One of them's going to be kind of a jock.
Exactly. It's as much as Star Wars is the hero's journey, there is also a dent in the world that fills it, and everybody sort of understands that. Yeah. So it was easy for people to understand. I can just say it's Scooby-Doo, and they go, got it, and then I can say, and here's how it's different, and we can move on from there. So I thought it was a nice way for a one-shot that I don't have to spend a lot of time world building.
And it was super fun to play, and I as someone who was part of it, definitely got immediately in the mood, sort of, in the vibe of what was going on. What inspired you to make their animal friend an albino crow?
Part of that came from my daughter. She was I have a 15-year-old, and she was going to play, and then because she is heavily involved in school activities, she could not. And so she had, and I'm sure the character might show up, so I won't give the whole thing away, but she had developed a whole character that had a goth mystique. She was, very, very much the dark spirits have, that kind of thing, that she's basically on the spooky teen squad because she's looking for real supernatural things. And,
she wants to prove that it's true.
And is continually disappointed by
Yes.
it. And so she wanted to have a raven, like, as her, like, you know, a very Lydia Dietz sort of gothic kind of thing. And I made an albino raven just because it was sort of like, because it's like the only one she could get. It was the rescue one, you know, but then Mac becomes a part of the group and stuff too. But yeah, so that I wanted to have that. And also to have a creature that could legitimately talk without it being like the most amazing thing in the world. That's the thing is like in the world of Scooby-Doo, the fact that the dog can talk, everybody's just like, yeah. But they don't meet any other dogs that talk except
talk.
Yeah, exactly. Except his cousin or whatever. And Scrappy. But that's the thing. Everybody just goes, they just sort of hand wave it away. So I didn't want to do that, but I really wanted to have anything that could talk. And of course then because I hadn't role played in so long and ran a game in even longer. That I made the mistake of, I've now created a character for myself in the game while I'm doing all the rest of the characters in the world. I was like,
because I in particular wanted the bird to do everything.
Yes. And as we got along, I was like, Mac should be doing something, but I'm too busy doing this thing. I kind of forget. And so then Mac ends up getting more sidelined than I wanted to.
A lot of plates spinning.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's enough for an actual human being to come in and play unless we got someone who sort of wanted to test the waters a little bit.
Sure.
Like you can be a bird. Like you don't have to like do all the stuff. You can just sort of if you don't like what's going on, you can just fly away and chase worms. Like it's fine. But I realized
go chase worms. Why don't you?
I like there's very like I noticed as I'm putting it together in the second half there's very little Mac just because I was so like concentrating on like getting you guys through the mystery.
Yes.
That I was
and your mystery had an answer.
It did.
That we had to make sure we got right.
Yeah.
And we were probably pretty close to getting it wrong. were we not?
No. Well, actually, you as I went through the edit, you figured it out like within the first, I don't know, 15 minutes. Like you
really?
Set like on the thing.
I sidetracked myself.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's probably like because I think when Dr. Cross leaves, you said like, maybe he'll be back, real soon or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually what's gonna happen. So you had like I was like, oh no. Okay.
I think I talked myself out of it a lot though. Like I really wanted it to be everybody. I was like, it could be everybody. They were all such good suspects.
Well, I tried.
Yes.
I mean, I am really drawn to mysteries, and yet I'm not really very good at writing them. So
they're really hard.
Yeah, they're really hard. I mean, I keep coming back to that in my writing and stuff too, and realize that I start going through and I'm like, this is way harder than any of the stuff I've done. Where I tend to just like take characters I like and then throw something at them and then see how it responds, like ripples in the water, and like let's like someone's going about their life and then something changes and then so that's that's a swashbuckling episode. Like the ladies are going about it and then something happens and they have to respond to it. But like the mystery is so much has to be built in and red herrings and reverses and all that kind of stuff. So I was trying to once again do that, but in a simple version. Like there are 3 suspects. It's going to be one of those 3.
Right.
Like it's not Poppy.
It's not. Although I think at first sometimes I was like, maybe it's Poppy. It's definitely not, but maybe it is.
And because it's the Scooby-Doo structure, it's one person. Like it's not all of them working together. It's not going to be spoiler for a 30-year-old movie. It's not going to be Clue,
right,
where it's like it turns out one of the, and it says
it's
all
everybody.
of them or Murder in the Orient Express. There's spoiling another.
It literally is everybody.
Literally is everybody. I didn't want to do any of that. Like if you understand the teen crime solver thing, it's going to be one person.
Yeah.
So like that was the thing is trying to have legitimate reasons why each of these 3 guys are suspects, and then to lead you down to make you think it's one of them and then throw you off.
Right.
So like Dorian was convinced it was Valentine. It was the evil businessman because most Scooby-Doo things it ends up being an evil businessman. Yes. And so that when then you got to be the mayor. Then
which was a cool thing that you did, which was to have us each play so what would normally be a non-player character played by you had us play non-player characters with each other.
That's an idea I wanted to try.
Characters.
Right, that's an idea I wanted to try because the 3 of you that I knew were going to be in this group are trained improvisers. I knew you had your characters and you were going to be doing stuff, but I was like, well, when they're not doing that, they're kind of idle. they're really good at this, so I did not tell them what I was going to do. Right. So when you hear them, sort of coming up with their characters, that is happening in the moment. Mm-hmm. Like the three of them did not know that was going to happen. I did not prepare them saying, oh, by the way, I sort of, in the email originally, Lucy said, you might be asked to do something else. Yeah. And that's all I said. And
you gave us like little pieces of paper that had like a description of who we are and what we were supposed to achieve.
That's right. And I did not know who would be who.
Right.
So like, because I didn't know where you would go. Like when the mystery was out there, like I didn't know if Winona would go to the library, would she go to the bookstore, would she go to, wherever the restaurant. So I didn't know who would be there, so then I didn't know who the other person would be.
Right. And we ended up having a very long spaghetti dinner.
Exactly. So all those things were built up. But I wanted to do that, first of all, to show off your talents. I mean, basically, you guys are good at this. Like, having seen your improv shows, like you guys, so I'm like, this will be easy, because I'm giving you more than you get sometimes when you're just fun. Like on stage. You're like, now, like here's an idea, riff, and you have to go do it. But then it also is one of the philosophies I wanted to have for a mystery is I get annoyed when I watch or role-playing games or either a video or audio ones where if it's a mystery, they lock the solution or the piece of information behind a dice roll. That drives me crazy because it's like, that's not how mystery stories are built. Yeah, like you have to give them the clue. Yeah. So like when someone finds a mysterious book and then go oh, can I, whatever, like there's a lock. Can I open the lock? No, you can't. That means there's a huge, that's a clue. There's it drives me nuts. So my philosophy on that was then, I basically used a video game idea. So each of those encounters actually was a puzzle room, but your reward is the thing. So play my game, which is you're now the mayor, and it's a weird dinner, and what's going on, and your reward is the clue.
Yeah.
So you were always going to get the clue, but it's like that's the. I guess in the in the grossest term, that's the hoop I make you jump through.
Yeah.
And then this is the treat that you get at the end.
Yeah. It was great. And it was lots of fun. So will we see will the Spooky Teen Squad come back?
I don't know. I think it could. I
hope so.
I don't know if it's strong enough as Murder Mavens to swap people in and out of, because it's like you guys are the Spooky Teen Squad.
Every town could have its own thing.
That's true. There could be a franchise.
Exactly.
What is
There's
it like on the
Arby's
East Coast?
And the Spooky Teen Squad.
Yeah, I mean, it was first. I had not run a game in probably 15 years at that point.
Wow.
It had been a long time. So
you couldn't tell. It was
I could tell. I was like, ugh. There's a bunch of stuff that I was like, oh. I mean, the fact that I hope that when you listen to it, dear listener, you listen to it close together, because I realized that none of my suspects showed up in the second half.
Oh, right.
By the time you guys were sort of moving clues and putting things together, the three guys are not in it at all. Yeah. And so we made a big point, you found one of the things about the accent, because it was basically, he's not Australian, he's putting on an accent. But at the time you got to that episode, you had forgotten that he was Australian. Dr. Cross was Australian accent at all. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a big deal when I was doing it. But I realized when I revealed that information, oh yeah, it had been
he needed to come back and talk at us.
Yeah, exactly. For the listeners, probably a couple weeks between the
what's
thing.
What's happening in the investigation?
That was right. Exactly. I needed to have them come back in, and I totally missed that. So yeah, but also. I also being rusty, I didn't know how long it would take. When you're talking about with Murder Mavens trying to get it into the hour and a half thing, I really thought you guys in an hour would knock it out and we'd be done. I thought it would almost run the length of a Scooby-Doo episode.
Oh, we'll surprise you with how inept we can be at following directions. And not getting sidetracked.
When I said that even to Dorian, he was like, "Well, you gave us space to play, so we're gonna play." And I was like, "Well, yeah, no, I'm not. I didn't think it was negative at all. I was worried from my side that I did not give you guys enough to do, that I was like, am I even going to be able to fill an hour?"
Well, and I liked that it was two parts, and I think it's cool I think it adds to the variety of what we're doing, that like our first one is one part and their second one is 2 parts, and then our third one will be 1 part, and then, maybe we'll go back to a 2-parter. So it's every kind of variety for you, gentle listener.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, like the next thing I'm doing is another one shot with a totally different set of people, totally different set of
excited
skills.
about, yeah.
And so it should be a different system. Should be exciting. So and we'll see. We'll see where sort of my imagination takes me. There's a bunch of things I want to try. So we'll see. But I think next they'll be hearing another mystery from the Murder Mavens.
Yes,
I believe there's something is afoot.
Forever silent auction. Ooh. So let us know what you think. Hit us up, send us messages, give us those, 5 stars or nothing.
And if you're in the Phoenix area,
come see the show.
Come see the show.
We want you to come see the show. And we appreciate you. And have a cool time. Dice hours.